What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Ted Addicts Podcast, where real stories about real addiction and real recovery and real mental health take place. I'm your host, Noise, as always, and with me today is my friend Eric. We're knocking out a little tattoo for him today, where we kind of talk about what he's been through in his life. Eric, how you doing today, bud?
Good, how about you?
Not too bad. We were kind of talking earlier about your childhood and how you grew up in the Catholic Church, was it?
Yeah, so when I was younger, my parents put me through a Catholic school. I was the black, unbaptized, middle class kid at the all white, rich Catholic school. So growing up, really didn't have any friends or nothing like that. So it just kind of set the tone, I guess, for just reasons to reach out and try to find ways to cope with just being alone and stuff like that.
Okay. How old were you when you first were introduced to any kind of substances that might have, started your addiction?
So I was about 3 when my dad, uh, him and my uncle would always be at the house drinking, and so my dad would always have me be his little guinea pig, well, his gopher, and would tell me, "Hey, go grab me another beer." So I always thought it was cool because Dad's drinking this, so I figured I'd take a sip. So every time he had me go grab another beer, I would kill what was left in his can. So I guess
3 years old?
3 years
It's
old.
insane.
And so that's how I always associated, drinking with friends, and that's just, I guess it's the very like original start of, I guess, having the good time.
Right.
So after that, went from the Catholic school to high school, and I ended up going to Grand Rapids Public School, and to where people, were starting to talk to me because there was a more diverse, student body. So one of these guys came up to me my freshman year, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to come out drinking with us?" I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds great," because, growing up, I always associated drinking with friends. And so I was finally trying to get, the friendship that I was looking for. And so when they said, "Yeah, you want to come out drinking?" Of course I said, "Hell yeah, let's go." And then that just turned into just drinking on the weekends to, I thought it'd be cool and start drinking in class. I would, sneak in alcohol in my pop bottles and would drink all day, every day.
And this was like high school, college?
Yeah, so this was all of high school. Um, kind of started college, but that's kind of when I was about that age. I was trying to become a firefighter. So that's the only thing I ever wanted to do in life. I was raised around a fire station. It was 5 houses down from the house I grew up at, and so I would always hang out up there. So I thought that's what was my whole career path. So fresh out of high school, when I graduated, took the test, passed the physical and all that. And so I got hired on to Grand Rapids Fire, and I worked there for about a year. I ended up getting hurt and ended up losing that career path because it was budget cuts and being injured. So that kind of put a damper on my whole life. Like, I didn't know what I was going to do. So that was the first time I actually started drinking to cope with living, I guess.
What would you say was the main factor for your happiness being lost? You know what I mean?
Just the whole I had put all my eggs in one basket. I didn't learn how to cope growing up, and every time I was disappointed, I just didn't know how to, I guess, get to grip of reality.
Handle those emotions, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously, the addicted mindset is to fill that void with stuff that's going to make us kind of disassociate from those feelings and thoughts, right?
Yeah, just that the pure form of just that escape.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
So after that, became straight laced for a little bit. Ended up getting a job working for a prestigious security company in Grand Rapids, and worked there for a couple years. And then I started drinking again, just slowly, just being social about it. And the addiction kind of took over because it went from just, drinking on the weekends again to, well, I started drinking, we'll have one on Tuesday. I can have a couple on Wednesday. And that turned into drinking a lot during the week into where I was at an event that we were doing and I reached alcohol, so they let me go. And that's when I really hit the fuck it's.
Just nothing left to be worried about.
Well,
What happened after that? What do you say?
so after that, I just started kind of living the carefree life, and I was still searching for friendship and just I guess my tribe or whatever, and ended up joining a motorcycle club, and because that was everything that I was looking for. There was brotherhood, there was the fun, there was the fast ladies, the fast life,
Absolutely.
the whole like
The street cred
Yep.
that comes along with the patch. I definitely understand that for sure. And I know we were talking, I think it was last week, about how we were most likely were in a couple of the same situations at the same time and just hadn't met yet. So we were talking about a friend of ours that had passed away to suicide, and I was explaining that situation, and you had said that you were actually there that same night.
Yep, and that was one of the last shots that I took because when that happened, I was already thinking about getting my life back together. And so we we're all at that same bar. I took it was breakfast shots.
Yep.
And that was the last shot I took. Well, liquor wise at least, I was still still drinking beer for a while and all that, but
Right.
that was towards the end of me just really trying to get fucked up for a minute.
Yeah, that was a rough time. That was quite a while ago now, looking back. Rest in peace to our buddy Jerry, by the way. So yeah, I guess let's kind of fast forward here. You had mentioned about your warrant.
Well, so after Jerry's thing, because that's right when I moved down to Indiana, and actually quit drinking and then turned into the meth addiction. So
Gotcha.
So yeah, after Jerry's passing, I was still living the club life, and the chick I was dating at the time, she got sentenced to AA. So that's when I first ever heard of AA. Was she asked me to go for support for her, and so I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. And I was going to these meetings, but I was still getting pretty fucked up.
Right.
Just because it wasn't for me, it was for her.
Yep.
So I started hearing stories about about other people's lives, and I'm like, well, that kind of sounds like me, and that one kind of sounds like me. And then finally I heard a story that was damn near identical to mine, and so that really made me start thinking, well, I need to do something. And the only thing I got out of the meetings was I need to change my people, places, and things.
Your environment, yeah.
Yep.
Change your environment, change your life.
Yeah, so I decided to jump state and start completely over. So
really, you're just running from your problems, all right?
Yep. Yeah, because the thing I didn't find out till later is even though I moved, I still took me with me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, dude. If an addict, it doesn't matter what you do. You can try to separate yourself, and in most cases, you're probably going to end up worse off than you were because you're going to find a whole new group of friends that relates to you, but even more so because you weren't looking for them in the first place, but they found you, and now you're just screwed, right?
Oh, yeah, because, the group of friends that I found definitely had...
Not the intention that you had when you first went, right?
Oh, not even close. So I ended up dating this chick, which is a lot of my downfall, because I always found the wrong women, but... That happens just because of, just used to club women and shit like that. I ended up coming across some heartbreak. My favorite dog died in my lap after a dog fight. It was an accidental dog fight. Someone tried breaking into my house, and it caused two of my dogs to fight each other. They were trying to protect the house, and they ended up bumping into each other, and they just turned into a whole mess.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, and the sad thing is I seen it all on camera. So that
Like a like a like a chime or something, like a in-house camera, you mean?
yeah, it
Or a
was
ring camera?
yeah, it was my security cameras I had.
Gotcha, yeah.
Because it was I used to breed American bullies, and so I had my kennels. It had surveillance on them for just in case something like this happened. And when we got back to the house, I found my dog Kai bleeding out. So we tried rushing her up to the vet, and she ended up dying in my lap, which absolutely like destroyed me. I mean, it was my favorite dog. She was like a kid to me.
Dude, I couldn't imagine losing my dog. The older my dog gets, I'm like, dude, don't die.
Right.
Come on.
And so after she dies, we turn around and come back to the house. So I'm already dealing with that. And I get a phone call from my best friend's mom saying that he passed away from a heroin overdose.
Jesus.
And so I was already dealing with the one death, and now my best friend in the world, which I never had one really before, besides one in high school. Which me and him we still talk. He's actually a big part of my recovery life now. But when I lost my buddy Pineapple, that just put me just over the edge. And so the chick, she was like, "Hey, this will help you feel better," and she passed me a meth pipe, and it was the first time I took a big old puff, and
She was right.
oh yeah, it turned into a 7-year full blown addiction. Like I didn't draw a sober breath for 7 years.
That's how it works. But you don't realize it's been 7 years until you sit back and start getting clean and realizing, wow, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That time flies so much faster when you're throwing your life away than when you're being constructive. Now that I got everything figured out, I know I'd never have enough time in the day to accomplish anything that I want to get done. You know? And it's just part of recovering and the growth. So how long were you doing that? 7 years?
Yeah, well,
And you were doing just meth, or did you
so
whatever you get your hands on?
just meth and weed. I still wasn't drinking. Actually, that's how I justified my.
So you stayed off the alcohol and told yourself you were cool because you weren't an alcoholic anymore? And
Yep.
The meth was just your reward?
Yep. So I was using it for medication.
And as messed up as it sounds, I mean, at that time, an active addiction to us, we're like, this is justified,
Yep.
you know? And it's yeah, the way that the drugs can just manipulate your whole mindset is crazy. I mean, shoot, when I was a kid, dude, I wanted to be a youth pastor, you know, and slowly turned into a drug addict because I got banned from the church, you know? So I definitely understand that mindset. I feel like everyone's giving up on you. What the hell are you fighting for you for? No one else is going to fight for you. What the hell am I doing here?
Right. Towards my end stay of Indiana, I started remembering that little group that I went to up in Michigan about, if you want a better life, you can change your people, places, and things. And so I said, fuck it, and I moved back home and ended up getting clean for about a year and a half, which was awesome. So I thought I was cured. I figured, I can handle shit again. And so I started smoking weed again a little bit, and I ended up dating the wrong woman again. And she got me to relapse with her because she was using, and she would hide it from me because she knew that I had issues, but yet she was still semi-open with it because she didn't want to hide that part. But I think it was just her trying to just lure me kind of back in, because once I started doing it again, I'm the one supplying the bag, and
Well, yeah, no one wants to do it alone.
yeah.
You want to feel better about yourself by getting everyone else up.
And she definitely, that was her thing.
You know why I started smoking meth? Because my buddy at the time didn't have any Adderall to sell me, and he literally held the bubble right to my mouth for me and taught me how to smoke meth. And then I was just a customer. He had a customer for, So,
It was crazy how how our priorities are definitely offset by their priorities, and
right. I thought I was my best friend, but when you're thinking about it, like, how much of a friend was he when,
like I thought this chick loved me, so that's why it's like, here, we can just do it together. We'll be happy, it'll be fine, and well, that ended up turning out to caught her cheating. and ended up catching her at the dude's house. So I go back to my place, go to throw her stuff out, and instead of just letting it go down the way it was, the dude that I caught her with, he ended up calling the cops on me, lying, saying that she was at my house and we were fighting and I was waving a gun around and all this and that. And as I'm packing up her stuff in my truck, so I was gonna drop it off at his house. Walk outside and all I see is a bunch of red lights and I hear people yelling, "Eric, freeze! Eric, freeze!" And I look and it's a bunch of Grand Rapids cops, drawing down on me. And so I ended up doing.
Nobody wants to hear their name followed by freeze, especially on meth. Right?
Right, like that.
Dude, I already know.
The scariest situation I've ever
Immediately,
been in.
like, instinct is like run. Like, you said what? Freeze. I've been froze. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. No one wants to comply. I'm high, bro. I'm out. Bye. Catch me if you can, fool.
Right. I mean, being a fat guy, I couldn't run, so I mean, I just kind of just.
Man.
Y'all got me.
You got me.
It's like, what'd I do? And then when the cops told me, "Oh, where's your gun? Where's your gun?" And of course, I'm saying I don't have a gun because I didn't have a gun on me. I already had my apartment. The locks changed already because I kept locks around because the paranoia. I was constantly changing my locks. And so as we're sitting there, they're trying to figure out what's going on. I see her pull up with oh boy, to my apartment, and she tried taking them to the gun that I did have, inside, but it was locked up, proper and all that. And the cops couldn't get in with her key, so they came, grabbed my key. She took them right to my gun. So.
Dang.
Yep, so not only did I get charged with the meth that was in my pocket, I ended up catching a felony firearm.
Oh. Did you do some time for that? Or?
Yeah, so I did 330 days total, and then they put me on 2 years probation for it. And so with that, I ended up getting clean again for a little bit. But my dumb ass decided to go back to that chick. And so I ended up relapsing after about 6 months after being off paper and actually living, a good normal life again.
Getting a taste of freedom.
I figure,
This is too good.
Yep. It's like,
Yep.
I can just, just use with just her. I don't gotta sit there and, get wild all day every day. And that was definitely the disease trying to get me back, which it did. I mean, it grabbed a hold of me, and I went harder than I ever went. Meth just wasn't enough, so I ended up starting to smoke crack to go with it. Because meth was just good for, keep me awake, but I didn't get that escape that I was looking for to try to, stuff those emotions down of, the infidelity and just not having anyone in my life that I could trust and just the situation I put myself in pretty much.
Right. That's similar to me, dude. I was meth and crack. Yep. If I didn't have one, I needed the other. And yeah, one kept you awake and one kept you alert. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like one just kept you awake and stuck in your brain. The other one kept you like awake.
Right.
You know?
What's happening, buddy?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. How long did that take you to get rid of?
So that was a good 7-month stretch. And that ended with I was sitting in a hotel room because I was losing everything. I already lost my family. My kids wanted nothing to do with me. My vehicles were gone. Home was gone. I was about to lose the business that I started. And so I was sitting in a hotel room with a bag and a bottle, and I was going to commit suicide. And
Bag of dope.
Yep, big old bag of crack and a bottle of Jack Daniels. And so my first drinking, it was probably about 11 years. I got it just so I could blow up my heart. I was going to get drunk and then just take the biggest hits that I could until my heart blew up.
Damn.
And that's when I got back to the hotel room, just sitting there. And I don't know who I was talking to. Well, at the time, I didn't know who I was talking to. I now realize it was my higher power. I was looking at that bag of dope, and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? I need help. And in my head, I heard just put it down. So I put the dope in my my cigarette pack. I ordered DoorDash because I was starving. I mean, I haven't eaten in probably like 3 days at that time. Popped on a movie and ended up falling asleep. And I woke up the next day to a couple knocks on the hotel door. And you'll never guess what was on the other side of that door after saying, "Hello, you need housekeeping?"
Was it the housekeeper?
Definitely was not the housekeeper. It was two Kent County deputies.
Oh boy.
Yep, so I answered the door thinking it is housekeeping.
So there's two cops impersonating.
Yep.
Wait a minute. Something's wrong with that.
Right.
How come they can do it?
Right. If I do it, it's a felony. But if they do it.
If I say I'm a cop, I'm in trouble. But they can come in and be housekeeping all day long. How does that work?
Yes, but they definitely got them a nice little surprise because when I answered the door, I was standing there in a towel.
Oh, jeez.
And yeah, they were there for a child support warrant, which is, that's kind of unheard of. Normally it's, well, for someone like me, it's, we're here for drugs or,
Right.
finally I got caught up to, some shit that I was fucking stealing, when I was out there in the madness. And so that's how I chalk it up to my higher power being the one that sent them. Because that's the only way I was going to get rescued.
Yep.
So whenever I tell people, about that, it's like, yeah, I got rescued on, it was June 9 of 2024. That's when the knock on the door, and that changed my life forever. And then while I was in there, ended up getting another charge brought up against me for a failure to return rental property because I had a box truck that I rented that I obviously wasn't paying on. And so they hung me up on that for a good 8 months. And when I was sitting in jail, I got reintroduced to AA and NA. And I told the judge I wanted to be sentenced to rehab because I didn't want to come out, back to the same shit. I had to change up something.
Had enough.
Yep.
Nice.
And so I did 8 months. I get out, and they hand me my property. Go outside, and I'm waiting for my case manager to pick me up because he was going to take me to the recovery house that they got me into. And when I went to go pull out a cigarette, there is my dope still in my cigarette pack.
Oh.
And so it was definitely a test from my higher power.
Dude.
It was like,
What better way to test your what you've learned in jail than to get out and have it right back where you started in front of you?
yep.
So how'd that go?
Looked at it, started drooling, and then I just played that tape for it. I'm like, well, do I really want to go back to that bullshit life that ended me back in jail for the second time, or do I want to do something different? And I had to sit there and think for about an hour and a half before my case manager showed up. And when he pulled up, first thing out my mouth was, "Hey, we need to get rid of something." And he's like, "Well, what do you got?" I'm like, "I got a bunch of crack in my cigarette pack."
Jeez.
And yeah,
What did he say?
man, his eyes got all big, and he's like, "You have what?" I'm like, "I got a bunch of crack, and I want to get rid of it." And so I got in his car, we drove away, and he found the first construction dumpster that we could, and he pulled over. He's like, "If you want to really get rid of it, throw it in that dumpster." And so I got out, I looked at it one last time. It's like, "Is this what I really want?" Looked at it, said goodbye, and tossed it in there, and haven't looked back since.
Dang. That right there says everything, dude. The fact that you had that much on you and just got rid of it right away, that's huge. That's powerful, dude. And that because that would have been your make or break moment. And who's to say if you would have chose the latter that we'd be sitting here right now, right?
Right.
So that's awesome, dude. I'm really proud of you, man. So now you got that out of your system, and kind of tell us about what life looks like today. Is like recovery is more prominent in life, and because dude, just what you're doing is great, dude. Like I'm really glad to see and hear of everything that I've heard so far. But kind of tell us, obviously, I met you. I went to AA, and you were the chairperson, which is already a huge thing, right? So you were the guys in charge of AA that night, I guess. So kind of tell us how that came to be, coming from getting out of jail with a quarter ounce of crack cocaine in your cigarette pack to leading AA and the other things that we have going on. Kind of tell us about the positives, the recovery end now.
All right, so basically, while in jail, I got reintroduced to the programs again, and I figured this time that I was gonna actually stick with the programs because before, every time I got clean, I quit going to meetings, and so this time I was like, fuck it. I got out of jail at it was about 3:30 in the afternoon. I was at the North Alamo Club in Grand Rapids at 5:30 for a meeting, and for probably the first 3 months, I hit 4 meetings a day just because it was a safe place for me to be. And that turned into I actually went and got a sponsor and started working the steps and doing service work. By just started off by doing some of the readings that we do at the beginning of meetings to when I was in rehab. Because after jail, I went to rehab for 30 days. Ended up it was a 9-day program that I almost got kicked out of, surprisingly.
Oh wow.
For being an ass. I went in there.
Oh, not for relapsing or anything like that.
Nope, just for attitude.
Just being a dick.
Yeah, just being a dick because I was sentenced to 30 days because I requested to be sentenced, for 30 days. Right. And I didn't realize that the program that they sent me to was a 90-day program. So I went in there with this stink-ass attitude and, I'm just here for the emotions. I've already been, 9 months sober at this time. I'm just here to appease the courts because I made a decision of being sentenced to this. And while I was in there, about 3 days in, the house manager and director sat me down and I was like, why are you acting like this? Is this, what you really want? If you don't want to be here, you can leave and stuff like that. And I told them about past trauma that I had, dealing with authority figures. I was told I'm only going to be here, 30 days while it's a 90-day program. So I'm like, well, if you guys aren't going to, follow through, then, screw it. I don't need to be here. And these guys, as they're talking to me, they're like, what we can do, because we do realize that you were told that only going to be 30 days, this and that. Well, if you actually work the program and, help out some of these guys, because you might be here for, a reason, because all the other guys they're fresh out of, fresh out of jail, fresh in the recovery. Like, these people got days of sobriety when I have months.
Right.
And so they're like, how about you don't talk to the guys and try to say, hey, you can, sobriety and recovery is possible if you work it, and actually, just show them that they can at least get a couple months in, and then so I'm like, all right, that sounds fair, yeah.
Yeah, basically showing there's hope for change.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And the guys already knew that I had trust issues and this and that, so I was like, all right, I'll trust you guys, and actually, so I started putting in the work, and when my 30 days came up, they actually fulfilled their end of it, because by that time, I was chairing meetings. I was already mentoring the guys in there. And whenever, morale was down, try to, pick everyone's, spirits back up. And so when I got out of rehab, I took that into my recovery at the North Club by asking if I could chair a meeting one day, and they let me. And I found that's where I'm comfortable at. It's bringing the message of, we can actually do this together, and it's just nice sitting there and knowing that we're all there for the same kind of reason.
Right. Yeah, we all have something that we can relate to full force. It's almost like the idea of trauma bonding in a way. Yeah. We're all trauma bonded by our addiction in a sense.
Yeah.
That's absolutely relatable.
Yeah. So the early recovery. So doing the meetings, I was living in the recovery house. I ended up starting to get my business back up and going, and I couldn't do it without the help of some of the guys in AA. that seen, the positive change that I was doing and were willing to help me out. Shout out to my boy Aaron. um, but it's squirrel moment.
That's all right. Shout out to your boy Aaron for what?
For believing in me and he helped me get to get the truck that I use to get my business up and going again.
Okay, so you got your business back up and going?
Yep.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and business is up and booming, and most of my clientele, because I own a scrap hauling company, and most of the accounts that I have now came from people in the program seeing that I was out here trying to do the right thing, so I actually landed, instead of being a dumpster diver, I now deal with a couple auto body collision shops, a couple of apartments, so I actually have set pickups, and instead of having to rummage through trash, I get a call, hey, can you come grab this? Or, hey, we got, it's Tuesday, you're going to come pick up all these car parts, and which is great. And then that turned into like an actual, like it blew me up. Instead of having to literally turn trash into money, it's now, I have a set schedule, and without the recovery, I won't be able to do it because these multi-million-dollar companies trust me with the key to their building.
Right.
And so, like, they allow me in there after hours, and they know that I'm not going to be in there, stealing shit. And
Right. Which is huge, especially coming from that kind of past.
Yep.
That's awesome, dude. Well, getting close to the end here, what would you say is something if you met someone today was in active addiction and trying to get clean and asked you kind of where to start, what would you tell them?
Try rehab.
Try rehab?
Yeah, go to rehab first and to just listen. And then after that, do the recovery housing thing. Surround yourself with people that, have the same goals in mind. Like how the rehab that I went to, they actually hired me on there now to where I actually work for them. So if people want to actually get into this whole thing, there's even jobs out there that will,
That will keep you grounded by the... Yeah, because, once you're in that kind of field, it gets pretty hard to want to go back, right?
Yeah,
Kind of helps keep us accountable.
it sure does.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, so do the rehab thing, reach out to friends, hit meetings, give
That's
back
the
to the
biggest
community.
thing is, like, get over your ego and admit that you need a little help and start making those calls to your people, for sure.
Yeah, because we definitely can't do it alone. Like, there's no way that I would be where I'm at now but by myself.
Right. Absolutely. Well, we always want to make sure that if someone's watching this podcast and is struggling with any kind of addiction, or maybe you're in recovery and just having a hard time, just, you don't have to reach out to people that know you. You just reach out to anyone, Sometimes strangers are more hope than the people that know you, because the judgment is not there like it is with, the loved ones that don't understand the mindset of an addict, So a lot of times, I've seen so many times where people try to reach out to their family, and their family is so focused on how bad drugs are that they forget that there's a human in front of them begging for help to get off of the drugs. So, don't give up just because one person starts making you feel like a piece of, shit. Do what you have to do, reach out. Like I said, even if it's an anonymous, you're reaching out to an anonymous stranger. There's people out there that want to help you, whether they know you or they don't know you. The Tattered Addicts podcast is here as a voice, and we're going to continue to keep bringing you guys real life stories like this, and hopefully be able to shed some support and some help on people maybe that are struggling and don't know where to start or what tools are available. Well, Eric, I'm really happy to have you on the show, dude, and I'm really excited about this tattoo. So the tattoo we're doing, kind of talk us through this tattoo real quick.
All right, so I chose the 2%er, the 2% tattoo, and a chain with a broken link because only 2% of addicts make it out of addiction alive.
It's insane.
And so this is definitely near and dear to me because I've lost a lot of good friends to this disease.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It seems like the older we get, the more friends we start to see fall. Sure. All right, man. Well, looks like we're done with your tattoo. What do you think, dude?
Man, that is awesome.
So we got the 2% because we know that only 2% of people actually make it out alive from addiction. Specifically meth, you were saying, right?
Yep.
And then the broken chain, because the chains of addiction, although they're hard to break, it is possible. So that's what Eric kind of wanted as a reminder while we shot this today. I want to encourage anyone who's struggling, man, reach out to us, reach out to anybody. Just reach out. You don't have to battle this alone. Sometimes it feels like you do, but you don't. There's people that care. There's people that want to help you. Just reach out. So that being said, man, is there anything that you wanted to say as like a last word to our viewers or anything like that, dude?
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to the North Alamo Club of Kent County. Has all the AA meetings, so AA and NA. So if you're having troubles, go there. Or if you're looking for rehab, hit up Reach for Recovery. It's an amazing program. They saved my life, and I know they can save yours if you want it.
Heck yeah, dude. Well, dude, we appreciate you being on the show, and I know it won't be the last time that you and I hang out.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll catch you.